Federico, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Henry, and good afternoon, everybody. And I am not having an easy task talking after Francois, who set the bar very high. And thank you, Francois, for your speech. It was very inspiring for all of us. And I will try to give you briefly an overview of what we have tried to do so far here at the EEA, try to have a better understanding of what is possible to be done with the Copernicus data, especially from CAMS, what we have tried to do in the past 3 years, and what, as you said, try to get in the future, because as was well noted, and I think already you went through a lot in the previous day, is a joint effort between different institutions, networking, and also the added value that we at the EEA we can get with the cooperation with the country within the IONET network can provide an added value on that. And so in the future we can have, or we can try to get the most in order to have additional information, in order to provide better data, better information to the citizen and to the policymaker, in order to do to improve also what is the implementation of the policy agenda that Francois already well described. As I said, we at the EEA, we started in the previous year to get a better understanding of what is possible to do with the CAMS data. And I wanted to summarize here 3 different types of project that has been carried out. Of course, most like I think I left behind something else. Ask apologies to my colleagues, but I wanted to crunch this in a very little time. So we started, as you can see, from the left side to something more, knowledge-oriented. We need to understand what is there, what is possible to do, and also in order to try to understand how to use the CAMS model to support what we use normally from the EMAP model in order to improve the regional background. We wanted to improve the spatial distribution of reported emission, and also we wanted to try to understand how much is possible to assess from the industrial point sources. And then, of course, we also focus on something else, on the try to understand if it's possible to produce some interim air quality mapping on different pollutants, try to understand which are the gaps behind, so what we can do, what is not possible to do because we are in lack of some UTD data and so on. So a lot of knowledge studies to try to understand what are our needs, what can be provided, and where we can find out a meeting point between the different data provider and also meeting our needs. In addition, the last was a project where I was involved too. It was trying to understand how far we can get using satellite data in assessing emission from large combustion plant in Europe. And there was this scoping study where we tried to understand and get emission data from the top 12 large combustion present in the European domain. Of course, there is also a lot of things going on that we have done, we are doing, and we will continue to do it. I think you might have heard in the previous day about CAMS 22, which is a project with aims at enhancing the in situ air quality system hosted by the EEA. There is also support IT from Antognazza. And this is the main goal summarized in the 4 boxes. Unfortunately, I'm not the air quality expert, so I cannot provide you more detail, but of course, any of you who has more tailored question or curiosity about that, you can address me the question. I will pass by to my colleague. And of course, as also was clear from Francois' presentation, we need to increase our understanding. We need to get better information. We need to use better data to try to fill the gaps, be able to represent area where we have some gaps in knowledge, because in situ is not possible to get information from the station for many different reasons, and try to improve data processing, the IT system, make up better data availability, and also transfer knowledge and data quality across the country to get more homogeneous and more, let's say, wide representative information on air quality data. And as you can see, here is the status now of what was possible to be done before CAMS 22, and now what is the area that we can cover in terms of representation and data with CAMS 22. So these are much, much more wider scale. And of course, there is a lot of space for improvement in the next year. Other thing that we are doing is, as I mentioned earlier, is working on point sources, which is very important and is very also relevant, especially at local level. Some point sources can have a very relevant on the political agenda or on the community or impact with their emission in local level. And we want to try to understand better what is possible to be done. So the idea is to start from what was scoping study, so focusing on the 12 biggest one to try to understand, okay, now that we understood the methodology using the satellite data, can we scale up this exercise and try to see how much of the whole data set of the large combustion plant present in Europe we can do, or we can cover, or we can try to understand how much of this emission can we assess, and if we can use this data for implementation. As you can see, the focus of this year will be to try to assess emission from LCP from these 9 European countries. And of course, the scaling up is really important because we passed from 12 LCP to over 600 LCP. This will allow us to do some sensitivity analysis, uncertainty assessment, detection also of the working hour of the sites in order to be able to understand how we can use these data from the Copernicus services. Will be much more tailored for gap filling, missing reporting, or will be much more useful in order to improve the quality assurance of the data reported to the country. And also, I think that the final question will be, we will be able to cover the majority of the other sites that we are not investigating so far, which are the blue dots on the map. So as you see, the dimension of the sample is pretty big. So this will be a very key element for future application in supporting or replacing or improving data reporting on relevant data set like the LCP reporting. Of course, there is a lot that we would love to do. The wish list will be, super long. Of course, we can set up some priorities. There will be some meeting point that we need to strengthen our cooperation and our sharing of knowledge as well. And of course, we have a lot of things that we would like to explore more. Many of them has been mentioned also by Francois earlier. We would love also to understand better and get more data from wildfire emission, which is also another element connected to non-authorized biomass burning, in order to get better assessment of concentration of PM2.5 in air. Also, we would like to get a better assessment and better information and input regarding natural sources such as dust, sea salt, and also pollen, in order to understand also impact on the health of European citizens. Also, we would like to get a better understanding and include some projects that are already ongoing, so sharing information and include the products already into our publication to get input on early warning systems, for example, for ozone episode during the hot season, and also integrate the forecast in other relevant products, not only connected to air quality, but also in products that we are developing related to climate and health, because as you know, ozone is influenced with climate change, and this could be a cross-cutting information that we can better address, and we can produce more relevant information for the citizen and for the policymaker. And in addition, one thing that we would really love to do is to find a way to use this satellite data to be able to produce a more timely and continuous update of the diffuse emission of the EPRTR, which is something that has been done in the past through a very complex methodology, and we are not able to update regularly, and this will be a good step forward in order to improve data connected to this data reporting, which is really, really relevant. And on top of that, as I mentioned, try to understand how much the quality of the data related to emission or other parameter that is possible to get might be supportive in gap filling or improving the quality assurance of data that member states are reporting to the EEA in order to reduce the burden, optimizing, maybe add additional parameter in order to explore implementation of machine learning and artificial intelligence to get more out of the data that we are collecting across different data sets. From my side, it's everything. I will also to thank all my other colleagues that provide input here and there from other topics. And of course, I'm here to try to address your question if you have any.
Thank you so much, Federico. So that was very, very nice. So really going into the detail and seeing that in the detail, the CAMS, many aspects of the CAMS portfolio can make their way into the information systems of the EEA, into the report, and thus go to the wide audience and inform the policy. We have time maybe for one or two questions if there are for Federico. No, no questions. So thank you very much. Oh yes, oh sorry, I didn't see Bureau.
Federico, thank you very much for this presentation, and I'm really interested to see that. Well, also hear from your side the work you're doing on the large combustion plants and the EPRTR system. As part of CAMS and also the Horizon Europe project, COCO2, we've been working a lot with these point source data. And so do you think it's a good idea if we reach out to you and have a meeting on discussing what we have been progressing? One of the aspects for us that we have been struggling with, for example, are the thresholds in those reporting limits. And we don't have to go into these details here, but it means like, you know, you have one pollutant and it's above the threshold, it is reported. You have another one, it's below. And then it's not reported. And we have been working on gap filling that. And I think it would be a very interesting discussion how that could be used and maybe improved from both sides. Is that something that you are open to?
Yes, I think will be very interesting because, of course, we don't want to bother our colleague here in the call speaking about threshold, and I agree totally with you. But yes, this is one of the bigger challenges related to, in particular, to the EPRTR dataset. And also we experience sometimes issues in, for example, designing a trend line because for certain pollutant reporting is maybe around the threshold. So this is, I think, the big challenge. And yes, you can reach out to me and we can set up a discussion also with my other colleague involved in the industrial domain, so we can try to see what we can do.
Thank you. Thank you, Federico. No more questions? No? Okay, thank you.